Beneath the sands of Egypt, rising from the desert like eternal sentinels, stand monuments that defy the erosion of time. Vast stone structures aligned with celestial precision, walls etched with enigmatic symbols, and architectural marvels that suggest a mastery beyond ordinary craftsmanship. These remnants of a golden age continue to stir debate among scholars and seekers alike. Were they mere tombs and temples, or could they have served a purpose far greater, perhaps even unlocking the mysteries of energy itself? As evidence and speculation intertwine, the possibility emerges that the ancients may have harnessed forces still poorly understood today. With that said, let us begin. The Great Pyramid of Giza is often introduced as a tomb, a monument to a long-dead pharaoh. Yet when observed with scientific rigor, this colossal structure reveals anomalies that resist simple categorization. Rising nearly 150 meters, constructed from over 2 million limestone blocks, it demonstrates precision engineering that rivals modern standards. Its orientation is almost perfectly aligned with the cardinal points, and its internal chambers echo with geometrical relationships that mirror planetary and stellar measurements. But beyond its grandeur lies a question rarely addressed in conventional archaeology: could the pyramid have functioned as more than a burial site? Some researchers propose that it may have been a sophisticated machine, an ancient structure capable of channeling and amplifying natural forces. The limestone casing, for instance, is composed of highly conductive materials, while granite used in the king's chamber contains quartz crystals known to vibrate when subjected to pressure or sound. Together, these materials could have formed a natural system of energy transduction. Moreover, the underground chamber and descending passages suggest an interaction with subterranean water sources. Groundwater moving through limestone generates an electrical potential known as the piezoelectric effect. Could the pyramid's architecture have been deliberately designed to harvest such currents? If so, then the pyramid was not just a tomb but a monumental generator, an energy device rooted not in myth, but in scientific principle. The sheer scale of the construction points to intent beyond ceremonial grandeur. To mobilize such resources, to cut and transport millions of tons of stone, implies a purpose that justified extraordinary effort. If unlimited or self-sustaining energy was the objective, then the pyramids might represent the earliest attempt to bridge natural forces with human ambition. This possibility does not dismiss their symbolic or religious function but rather elevates it, suggesting that the pursuit of power, cosmic, spiritual, and perhaps electrical, was unified in their creation. Ancient Egyptian structures were not randomly placed or crudely designed. Every block, every angle, every corridor reflects a deep knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and resonance. The Great Pyramid itself is a textbook of sacred geometry. Ratios embedded within its dimensions mirror constants such as pi and the golden ratio, numbers fundamental not just to aesthetics but to the harmony of natural systems. Such precision implies a deliberate attempt to encode universal laws into stone. Resonance becomes a key concept here. When sound waves vibrate within confined spaces, they can produce frequencies capable of amplifying energy. Experiments inside the king's chamber have revealed peculiar acoustic properties. Certain frequencies reverberate through the granite walls, creating standing waves that seem to energize the entire chamber. If the pyramid was tuned like a colossal instrument, then sound itself may have been a driving mechanism. Imagine processions of priests chanting in unison, their voices calibrated to specific tones. The granite, rich in quartz, could have absorbed these vibrations and converted them into measurable energy. This is not speculation without precedent. Modern science has confirmed that quartz crystals generate electrical charges under stress, a principle used in watches, radios, and modern electronics. Could it be that Egypt's monuments anticipated such knowledge by thousands of years? The concept of sacred architecture suggests that spiritual practices were inseparable from practical applications. To the Egyptians, invoking the gods may have meant aligning with natural forces, harmonizing human intention with cosmic energy. The temple, then, was not only a place of worship but a machine of resonance. Energy, geometry, and ritual converged to form a unified system, one that may have brushed the threshold of unlimited power. Beyond geometry and resonance lies another overlooked factor: water. Beneath the Giza Plateau, aquifers flow silently through layers of rock. Water in motion generates kinetic energy, and when it interacts with limestone, a conductor, it creates an electrical charge. This phenomenon, though subtle, becomes significant when scaled to the dimensions of the Great Pyramid. The subterranean chamber deep below the pyramid has long puzzled archaeologists. It appears crude compared to the polished walls above, yet its placement is highly strategic. Some theorists argue it was designed to interact with groundwater, channeling flows in ways that generated piezoelectric effects within the surrounding limestone. This energy could then have traveled upward through the pyramid structure, resonating with the quartz-laden granite above. In essence, the pyramid may have functioned like a hydroelectric plant, except without turbines or wires. Instead, it relied on the natural interplay of water, stone, and vibration. If this interpretation holds, then the pyramid was not only an architectural wonder but also a technological device, one capable of producing a constant and renewable form of power. The symbolic dimension of water in Egyptian culture only strengthens this case. Water was life, transformation, and rebirth. Its sacred role in myth may have reflected a practical understanding of its physical properties. The Nile itself, rising and falling in eternal cycles, could have inspired the notion of infinite energy. A source that never truly depletes, only changes form. By embedding these ideas into their architecture, the Egyptians may have bridged myth with science, creating a machine cloaked in spirituality yet grounded in physical law. One of the most tantalizing aspects of this theory lies in electromagnetic studies conducted in recent decades. Russian researchers who probed the Great Pyramid reported unusual energy patterns within its chambers. They observed electromagnetic concentrations that seemed to focus in specific locations, such as the King's Chamber and the Grand Gallery. Though mainstream Egyptology dismisses these results as anomalies, the consistency of these measurements cannot be ignored. The pyramid's shape itself contributes to this effect. The four-sloping sides, converging at a sharp apex, create a geometry known to concentrate energy. Modern experiments with pyramid-shaped models have shown that they can influence electromagnetic fields, preserving organic matter or even sharpening blades placed within them. While such effects are often relegated to pseudoscience, they hint at unexplored principles of geometry and resonance. If the Egyptians deliberately constructed their monuments to capture and focus natural forces, then we must reconsider the narrative of their civilization. They were not merely stone carvers obeying kings, but engineers of energy systems disguised as sacred monuments. The casing stones, polished smooth, may have acted as insulators, while the inner limestone and granite layers transmitted and amplified energy flows. The result could have been a structure that radiated electromagnetic power into the surrounding environment. What purpose might this have served? The possibilities are as vast as they are controversial. Powering tools, lighting subterranean chambers, or sustaining agricultural systems, all are conceivable if energy could be drawn directly from the earth. To achieve this without wires, fuel, or combustion would resemble what modern minds call free energy, or unlimited energy. Whether used practically or ritually, such a discovery would place the Egyptians at the frontier of science, thousands of years ahead of their time. Among the most provocative artifacts fueling theories of ancient energy is the so-called Dendera light. Within the Temple of Athor at Dendera, reliefs depict what appears to be a large bulb-shaped object, connected to a base resembling a power source. Figures stand around it, some holding what seem like cables, while a serpent coils inside the bulb, suggestive of an electrical filament. Mainstream scholars interpret this imagery as symbolic representations of mythological ideas, yet the resemblance to modern electrical devices is difficult to dismiss. If the Dendera reliefs indeed depict an ancient form of electrical technology, then the Egyptians may have understood principles far beyond what is traditionally accepted. Experimental archaeologists have even attempted to recreate the design, constructing primitive light bulbs based on the relief. Using basic materials and electrical currents, they managed to produce illumination, supporting the idea that these images may be more than symbolic art. Why would the Egyptians require artificial light? The deep passages and underground chambers of their temples and pyramids are devoid of soot, suggesting they were not lit by torches. Mirrors could have directed sunlight, but their efficiency diminishes rapidly in long corridors. Electrical illumination, on the other hand, would have provided clean, smokeless light capable of reaching subterranean depths. The Dendera light remains controversial, yet its very existence keeps the debate alive. It forces us to confront the possibility that ancient Egypt may have experimented with forms of energy generation and application. If the reliefs are more than metaphor, then they represent one of the earliest depictions of technology, a visual testament to knowledge either lost or concealed over millennia. Rising like stone needles piercing the sky, Egypt's obelisks are often celebrated as artistic monuments dedicated to the sun god Ra. But could they have served a deeper technological purpose? These towering monoliths were carved from single pieces of granite, a material rich in quartz. When erected and exposed to sunlight, they may have acted as conductors of electromagnetic energy, transmitting it across the landscape. Granite's piezoelectric properties suggest that when placed under stress, such as thermal expansion from the desert sun, the obelisks could generate small electrical charges. Scattered across temple complexes, they might have functioned as components of a broader energy network, channeling forces between monuments and sacred sites. Some researchers envision them as antennas, not for communication in the modern sense, but for capturing and redistributing subtle energies within the environment. The placement of obelisks was rarely arbitrary. Many were aligned with key solar events or astronomical markers, embedding them into cycles of cosmic resonance. Their inscriptions, which invoke the sun's life-giving power, could be read as more than religious devotion. They may represent a practical acknowledgement of the sun as the ultimate energy source. Imagine a civilization whose architecture itself was wired into natural systems, pyramids amplifying vibrations, water channels generating current, and obelisks acting as radiant transmitters. If this interconnected grid existed, it would redefine ancient Egypt not only as a kingdom of stone and ritual, but as a civilization experimenting with renewable, possibly unlimited, energy. The Nile was Egypt's lifeline, a river that transformed desert into fertile ground. Yet beyond agriculture, it may also have been central to the civilization's potential energy experiments. Flowing water is a natural generator of kinetic power, and the Nile's annual floods represented a vast, renewable cycle of energy. By channeling and controlling its currents, the Egyptians could have tapped into principles similar to hydroelectric power. Canals, sluices, and reservoirs carved into the landscape may have been more than irrigation systems. When water flows through narrow passages, pressure increases, generating turbulence and motion that can be converted into usable energy. Some researchers suggest that underground chambers near temples may have been water-driven systems, designed not merely for ritual cleansing but for capturing hydraulic energy. The symbolic role of the Nile reinforces this idea. To the Egyptians, the river was not only the source of life but the embodiment of cosmic order. Its floods mirrored the cycles of death and rebirth, and its waters were offerings from the gods themselves. Harnessing its power would have been both a practical and sacred act, a way of aligning human society with divine rhythms. Even today, engineers recognize the immense potential of water as a renewable source. The Egyptians, with their mastery of canal building and water management, may have stumbled upon similar insights. If combined with their knowledge of resonance, acoustics, and stone conductivity, the Nile could have been the beating heart of an energy system unlike any other in the ancient world. Sound was not just music to the Egyptians. It was a force of creation. In their mythology, the spoken word itself brought the universe into being. This belief may have been more than symbolic. It could point toward an understanding of acoustics as a tangible power source. Within the chambers of the Great Pyramid and other temples, researchers have detected unique resonant frequencies. These spaces seem to amplify certain tones, creating vibrations strong enough to be physically felt within the stone itself. Quartz-bearing granite amplifies this effect. When subjected to sound, quartz crystals vibrate, producing measurable electrical responses through the piezoelectric effect. Modern science uses this principle in everything from microphones to sonar systems. If the Egyptians employed sound deliberately, they could have triggered or enhanced energy flows within their stone monuments. Chanting rituals, musical instruments, or even water rushing through channels could have supplied the necessary vibrations. Once the resonance was achieved, the entire structure may have acted as an amplifier, broadcasting energy through harmonic frequencies. Ancient texts often describe temples as places where the gods spoke or where sound could shake the heavens. Such descriptions may not be mere metaphor, they might record the sensory experience of energy made audible and tangible. Imagine standing in the Grand Gallery as a chorus of priests sang in unison, their voices tuned to the architecture. The very walls could have trembled with power, the vibrations coursing through the granite until light, sound, and energy seemed indistinguishable. This convergence of ritual and science may represent an early form of what today we call sonic or vibrational energy, a pathway to unlocking forces hidden in the fabric of matter itself. Though discovered far from Egypt, the so-called Baghdad batteries offer tantalizing evidence that ancient civilizations experimented with electricity. These clay jars, fitted with copper and iron components, are believed by some to have functioned as primitive galvanic cells, essentially, early batteries. When filled with acidic liquids such as vinegar, they generate small electrical currents. If Mesopotamian cultures possess such devices, could Egypt, its contemporary rival and occasional partner, have done the same? The reliefs at Dendera, combined with Egypt's advanced knowledge of chemistry and metallurgy, make the idea plausible. Egyptian alchemists were masters of working with acids, minerals, and metals. A simple extension of this knowledge could have yielded electrical devices. But what would they have powered? Illumination remains the most obvious answer. Subterranean chambers, with no soot residues, demand an explanation. Another possibility lies in medicine. Electrical currents can stimulate muscles, accelerate healing, or relieve pain. Could Egyptian priests have wielded electricity as a tool of healing, attributing its effects to divine power? The Baghdad batteries show that the concept of energy storage was not alien to the ancient world. If combined with larger systems like pyramids and obelisks, these devices could have served as components in a broader energy network. A single jar might produce a faint spark, but scaled across dozens or hundreds, the result could be far more significant. The Egyptians left few direct clues, but their temples, reliefs, and materials suggest they may have pursued similar paths. If so, they were not merely architects of stone but pioneers in tapping unseen forces, a knowledge that blurs the line between magic, science, and technology. The Egyptians were meticulous observers of the sky. Their monuments are aligned not only with the cardinal directions but also with key stars and constellations. The Great Pyramid shafts, for instance, point toward Orion's belt and the star Sirius. Objects deeply significant in Egyptian mythology. These alignments may have served a purpose beyond symbolic devotion. They could have connected terrestrial structures to celestial cycles of energy. Modern astrophysics acknowledges that the Earth is bathed in a constant flow of electromagnetic radiation from the cosmos. Solar flares, cosmic rays, and even subtle gravitational effects ripple across the planet. Could the Egyptians have designed their monuments as receivers or resonators of such forces? The precise alignments suggest intentionality, as though the structures were tuned not just to Earth but to the universe itself. If pyramids, obelisks, and temples acted as amplifiers of natural energy, then aligning them with stars may have enhanced their effectiveness. Sirius, whose rising heralded the Nile's flood, symbolized renewal and abundance. Orion, associated with Osiris, represented rebirth and cosmic order. By linking architecture to these celestial markers, the Egyptians may have attempted to harness not only earthly forces like water and sound but also cosmic streams of energy. This perspective transforms temples into more than places of ritual. They become instruments in a planetary-scale experiment, structures that drew on the harmonies of heaven to empower life on Earth. The notion of unlimited energy, then, may not have been confined to terrestrial sources but extended outward, embracing the cosmos itself. For the Egyptians, the heavens were not distant, they were active participants in the grand cycle of energy, order, and renewal. At the heart of Heliopolis, the ancient city of the sun, legend speaks of the Ben stone, a sacred object said to have descended from the heavens. Described as a radiant, pyramid-shaped stone, it was revered as the dwelling place of the sun god Ra. Some accounts portray it as glowing with its own light, a property that suggests more than symbolic importance. Could the Ben have been a form of meteoritic iron or a crystalline material capable of storing and radiating energy? Meteorites, rich in iron and nickel, were indeed worked by the Egyptians long before the Iron Age. Objects forged from such celestial metal carried divine status, thought to embody the power of the gods. If the Ben stone was a large meteoritic crystal, it may have possessed magnetic or conductive properties unlike any other material available to them. Placed atop an obelisk or within a temple, it could have functioned as a natural conductor or energy focal point. Inscriptions suggest that replicas of the Ben, small pyramid-shaped capstones called pyramid ions, were often placed atop pyramids and obelisks. These capstones, frequently coated in electrum, a gold-silver alloy, would have gleamed brilliantly under the sun. Electrum is not only visually striking but also an excellent conductor of electricity. If aligned with cosmic or terrestrial forces, such pyramid ions may have concentrated and directed energy flows through the structures beneath them. The myth of the Ben intertwines with technology, suggesting that the Egyptians may have attempted to replicate a powerful celestial artifact using earthly materials. Whether symbolic or functional, the Ben stone embodies the idea of energy descending from the heavens, captured and magnified by human hands. It represents a lost chapter in the pursuit of unlimited energy, one where mythology, metallurgy, and cosmic observation converge. Looming silently beside the pyramids, the Great Sphinx has long guarded the Giza Plateau. Yet beyond its enigmatic visage, the monument may conceal secrets related to energy and resonance. Studies of the bedrock beneath the Sphinx suggest the presence of cavities and chambers, some of which have never been fully explored. Could these voids have served as resonant chambers, amplifying vibrations from the earth or the nearby pyramids? The Sphinx is carved directly from limestone, a material that naturally interacts with groundwater and vibrations. If water once flowed beneath it, the Sphinx could have acted as a receiver of subterranean energy, transmitting it upward into the structure itself. Ancient Egyptian texts often describe lions as guardians of power, and the Sphinx's leonine body may symbolize its role as both protector and channeler of hidden forces. Acoustic experiments around the Sphinx reveal that its shape interacts with sound in unusual ways. Standing between its massive paws, whispers seem amplified, while deeper tones resonate across the plateau. This suggests the monument was not simply a statue but an acoustic device, designed to interact with the environment in ways that remain poorly understood. If linked to the pyramids and obelisks, the Sphinx could have been part of a larger energetic complex. Its gaze, aligned with the rising sun, may have connected solar cycles to terrestrial flows. In this interpretation, the Sphinx was not merely a guardian of tombs but an active component of an energy network, one that tied together earth, water, sound, and sky into a single, unified system. Energy is not only harvested through water and sound, it can also be generated and stored in materials. The Egyptians were skilled metallurgists, working with copper, gold, silver, and alloys like electrum. They also understood the properties of crystals and minerals, many of which appear repeatedly in ritual and architecture. Lapis lazuli, carnelian, and quartz were not merely decorative, they carried symbolic meanings tied to light, energy, and transformation. Quartz, in particular, deserves attention. Known today for its piezoelectric qualities, quartz appears in abundance in the granite used for temple walls, sarcophagi, and the Great Pyramid's core. By incorporating vast amounts of quartz-bearing stone, the Egyptians may have created massive reservoirs of latent energy. When subjected to stress, heat, or sound, these stones could have emitted electrical charges, subtle, perhaps, but powerful when scaled to such monumental dimensions. The use of gold further supports the theory of energy experimentation. Gold is not only prized for its beauty but is among the best conductors of electricity. Many ritual objects were gilded, and golden foils were used in tombs and temples. In a symbolic sense, gold represented the flesh of the gods, radiant and eternal. In a practical sense, it may have served as a conductor in energy systems that remain hidden within the monuments. If metallurgy and mineralogy were combined with resonance and water systems, the Egyptians may have possessed a form of energy technology that harnessed multiple natural forces at once. This would not have been electricity in the modern sense, but rather a complex interplay of sound, water, and materials, an integrated science of energy woven into their culture, their architecture, and their myths. Beneath the sands near Fayum once stood a structure so vast and mysterious that ancient historians described it with awe, the labyrinth of Hawara. Herodotus claimed it contained thousands of chambers, more impressive than the pyramids themselves. Today, little remains on the surface, yet geophysical surveys suggest subterranean networks still lie buried below. Could this labyrinth have been more than a ceremonial complex? Some researchers speculate it functioned as a central hub for energy distribution. The design, if accurately recorded, involved endless corridors and chambers, an arrangement that may have channeled sound, water, or electromagnetic flows. Its proximity to water sources strengthens the theory, as underground reservoirs could have fueled piezoelectric or hydraulic systems. If the pyramids acted as generators, perhaps the labyrinth was the grid, a vast distribution center that linked temples, obelisks, and monuments across the Nile Valley. Such a design would mirror modern infrastructure, where power plants supply electricity through networks. Of course, the Egyptians would have understood this in symbolic terms, divine energy flowing through sacred pathways, nourishing the land and its people. The silence of archaeology on the labyrinth's true purpose fuels speculation. Why has such a monumental structure remained concealed, unexcavated in its entirety? If evidence of advanced energy systems lies beneath, uncovering it would rewrite history. Until then, the labyrinth of Hawara remains a tantalizing shadow, perhaps the blueprint of an ancient power station lost to time. Energy, in the Egyptian worldview, was never separated from the divine. Priests did not merely perform rituals, they may have been the custodians of scientific knowledge encoded in sacred form. Their chants, processions, and offerings may appear mystical to modern eyes, but each act could have served a dual purpose: spiritual invocation and physical activation of energy systems. Consider the rituals performed within temples. Incense was burned, chants were sung, water was poured, and metals were polished. Each of these actions interacts with the environment in measurable ways. Incense produces ionized particles that can alter air conductivity. Chants generate sound waves that resonate with stone chambers. Water, poured into channels, alters pressure and flow beneath the structures. Polished metals reflect light and may even conduct static charges. The priests, clad in linen robes that minimized static discharge, could have acted as living participants in these energy circuits. Their staffs, tipped with metals or crystals, may have served as tools for directing or grounding energy. Hieroglyphic depictions of priests holding strange implements, often dismissed as ceremonial, may instead represent devices used in these processes. In this interpretation, temples were laboratories cloaked in ritual, and priests were both scientists and mystics. By preserving knowledge through symbolism and myth, they ensured its survival across generations. Yet as dynasties fell and empires shifted, the practical knowledge may have been lost, leaving only the ritual shell. What we see as magic may once have been the language of science, disguised to protect its secrets. Some traditions, particularly those passed down through Greek and later esoteric sources, suggest that Egypt inherited its wisdom from an even older civilization. Plato spoke of Atlantis, a land of immense knowledge and power, lost beneath the sea. While mainstream history regards Atlantis as allegory, the idea that Egypt preserved fragments of an older science cannot be entirely dismissed. If a pre-dynastic civilization experimented with energy systems, their knowledge could have been encoded into Egypt's earliest monuments. The sudden rise of Egyptian culture, with its sophisticated architecture, astronomy, and mathematics, has long puzzled historians. Instead of a slow evolution, we see an explosive emergence of advanced practices. Could this be the result of inherited knowledge, carefully preserved and reinterpreted? Legends describe Thoth, the god of wisdom, as a bringer of knowledge from across the waters. In esoteric texts, Thoth is depicted not just as a deity but as a teacher of hidden sciences. The emerald tablets, attributed to him, speak of harnessing forces of nature, aligning with cosmic laws, and accessing energies beyond comprehension. Whether literal or symbolic, these texts echo the themes we see in Egypt's monuments: resonance, vibration, alignment, and power. If Egypt was indeed the custodian of a lost inheritance, then its monuments may be keys to an ancient science older than recorded history. The pursuit of unlimited energy may not have been uniquely Egyptian but part of a broader legacy, a universal quest stretching back to civilizations now vanished. One of the greatest puzzles is not whether energy could have been harnessed, but why direct references to electricity or power sources are absent in Egyptian texts. The Egyptians recorded everything: myth, law, harvests, and rituals. Yet when it comes to explicit descriptions of energy systems, the records fall silent. This silence may be deliberate. Knowledge of energy could have been considered sacred, reserved only for high initiates within the priesthood. Egyptian temples were not open institutions, they functioned as restricted sanctuaries of wisdom, where secrets were passed orally or encoded in myth. To preserve such knowledge, it may have been hidden beneath layers of symbolism. A carving of a lotus might symbolize more than purity; it could represent vibration, frequency, and energy blossoming outward. A serpent could symbolize not only rebirth but also the flowing of currents. It is also possible that texts were lost. The Library of Alexandria, before its destruction, was said to hold hundreds of thousands of scrolls, some brought from Egypt's own temple archives. If treatises on energy systems existed, they may have perished in flames. The result is a fragmented record, glimpses of possibility without definitive proof. The absence of clear documentation, however, does not mean absence of practice. In many traditions, advanced knowledge is kept hidden to protect it from misuse. Perhaps the Egyptians understood that unlimited energy could empower society, but also destabilize it. Their silence may not indicate ignorance, but wisdom, the wisdom to guard a secret too powerful to reveal openly. In Egyptian thought, death was not an end but a transition. Immortality depended on aligning the soul with cosmic order, the eternal cycle of rebirth. Yet what if their pursuit of immortality was not only spiritual but also technological? Could energy itself have been the key to transcending death? Consider the sarcophagi carved from massive granite blocks. These chambers, often sealed within deep structures, may have functioned as resonant cavities. When a body was placed inside, surrounded by quartz-bearing stone, could vibrations or electromagnetic fields have been induced? If so, the deceased may have been subjected to conditions designed to preserve or transform their essence. Texts describe the pharaohs as becoming stars in the sky, joining the gods in eternal radiance. This could be read symbolically, or as evidence of an energy-based process intended to preserve consciousness. The rituals, chants, and incantations performed during burial may have been part of a technology that merged spirit with vibration, guiding the soul into resonance with the cosmos. This interpretation suggests the Egyptians sought not merely to honor the dead but to engineer a form of immortality. Unlimited energy, then, was not only about illuminating chambers or powering devices, it was about sustaining life itself. For them, energy was the bridge between matter and spirit, body and eternity. In this light, their entire civilization becomes a grand experiment in using energy to conquer the greatest mystery of all, death. If Egypt truly discovered methods of harnessing natural energy, why is such knowledge absent in our modern technological heritage? One possibility is that it was lost through time, buried beneath shifting sands, destroyed in conquests, or forgotten as new dynasties replaced old traditions. Another possibility is more controversial, that the knowledge was deliberately suppressed. Throughout history, powerful institutions have guarded energy secrets. Even in modern times, discoveries of alternative energy sources are often met with skepticism, resistance, or suppression when they threaten established systems. If ancient Egypt possessed a form of unlimited energy, its implications would have been staggering, challenging hierarchies, economies, and even empires. Such knowledge may have been reserved only for the priesthood and royal elite, carefully hidden from commoners and foreign invaders. Later civilizations may have stumbled upon fragments of this wisdom. Greek philosophers spoke of hidden forces and cosmic harmonies. Roman engineers mastered aqueducts and concrete but left the mysteries of resonance untouched. As centuries passed, myths of Egypt became entangled with legends of magic, perhaps a distorted echo of lost technology. The suppression may also have been cosmic in scale, nature itself erasing evidence over millennia. Erosion, earthquakes, and shifting water tables could have destroyed delicate components of energy systems, leaving only the massive stone shells behind. What remains are monuments that hint at greater purposes but conceal their mechanisms. Thus, we stand today with fragments, clues carved in stone, myths sung in hymns, symbols etched in hieroglyphs. The legacy of ancient energy lingers like a shadow, raising questions too vast to ignore. One of the most perplexing mysteries of Egypt's monuments lies in their subterranean chambers. Long corridors stretch into darkness, yet their walls reveal no trace of soot. If torches had been used, the ceilings would bear blackened residue, but none exists. This absence forces us to consider alternative sources of light. Theories abound. Some propose elaborate mirror systems to reflect sunlight deep underground. While possible, this explanation falters beyond short distances, light weakens and scatters quickly. Others suggest oil lamps with smokeless fuels, yet no traces of such substances have been discovered in sufficient quantity. That leaves the tantalizing possibility of an unknown method of illumination, perhaps electrical in nature. The Dendera reliefs, with their bulb-like imagery, support this notion. If electricity was harnessed, even in small amounts, it could have provided clean, efficient light. The practical implications would have been enormous. Enabling artisans to carve intricate reliefs in pitch-black chambers, allowing priests to conduct rituals in hidden sanctuaries, and granting rulers the means to impress visitors with the power of divine light. Illumination is not a trivial matter, it is the difference between mystery and revelation. If the Egyptians discovered a way to generate light without fire, it would signify more than technological prowess. It would represent mastery over one of nature's most essential forces, a step toward the dream of unlimited energy. Their monuments, then, may not only celebrate the sun in symbolic terms but embody its essence in physical light, captured and wielded at will. Imagine the Great Pyramid not as a tomb, but as a colossal instrument, a machine tuned to the harmonics of the earth. Its vast chambers and corridors, constructed with deliberate dimensions, may have formed a resonance system capable of amplifying natural vibrations. Studies of the king's chamber reveal unusual acoustic properties. Certain tones produce strong standing waves, resonating through the granite walls as though the chamber itself were alive with sound. The Grand Gallery, with its steep passage and corbelled roof, appears designed to guide vibrations upward, much like the resonance box of a giant musical instrument. These architectural choices may not have been aesthetic, they may have been functional. If the pyramid channeled vibrations from the earth, it could have amplified them to generate usable energy. The quartz-rich granite would have converted these vibrations into electrical charges, which may then have radiated outward or been stored in unknown ways. The entire structure may have functioned as a harmonic oscillator, using geometry and resonance to capture and magnify energy. The Egyptians described the pyramids as houses of eternity. Perhaps eternity referred not only to the afterlife but to perpetual cycles of energy. Vibrations that never ceased, endlessly resonating with the cosmos. In this view, the Great Pyramid was not simply a symbol of permanence but a working machine, an eternal instrument of harmonic power. Every stone monument on the Giza Plateau rests within a larger context, Earth itself. Our planet is encased in a magnetic field, generated by molten iron moving within its core. This field shields us from solar radiation and influences everything from animal migration to human navigation. Could the Egyptians have been aware of its power? The pyramid's alignment to true north, achieved with astonishing precision, suggests more than astronomical observation. They may have been designed to interact with the Earth's magnetic field, channeling or amplifying its energies. Modern experiments with pyramid-shaped structures indicate they can focus magnetic fields within and around them, producing measurable anomalies. If this effect occurs on small scales, imagine it magnified by a pyramid the size of Giza's Great Pyramid. Granite, used extensively within the pyramid, contains magnetite and other minerals that respond to magnetic forces. Combined with quartz, this could create complex interactions between vibration, electricity, and magnetism. In modern science, the interplay of these forces forms the basis of countless technologies, from generators to communication systems. The Egyptians may not have defined them in the same terms, but they could have intuitively exploited their effects. If magnetism was part of their system, then the pyramids were not just aligned to the stars but also to the invisible currents of the Earth itself. They may have served as nodes in a planetary network, drawing upon natural forces to create energy systems that required no fuel, no combustion, and no depletion. A vision of energy as eternal as the Earth's own heartbeat. When we plot Egypt's monuments on a map, curious patterns begin to emerge. Temples, pyramids, and obelisks are not scattered randomly but appear connected by alignments that stretch for kilometers. Some align with the Nile, others with specific constellations, and still more with solstices or equinoxes. But what if these alignments served a practical purpose, forming an energy grid across the land? In modern times, grids are essential for transmitting power. Electricity flows through lines connecting power stations to homes and industries. Ancient Egypt may have achieved a similar feat, not with wires, but with resonance. If each monument functioned as a node, some generating energy, others storing or transmitting it, the result would be a landscape woven into a single energetic system. This theory gains weight when we consider the placement of temples along the Nile. Many were constructed at bends or junctions where underground water flows were strongest. The temples may have been tapping into these natural currents, channeling the Earth's own energy into their structures. Obelisks, standing tall like antennae, could then broadcast this energy outward, saturating the surrounding environment. The result would have been extraordinary, a civilization powered not by burning fuels or exhausting resources, but by harmonizing with natural forces. The grid of sacred sites would not only unite Egypt spiritually but energize it physically, transforming architecture into infrastructure. Seen in this light, the Egyptian landscape was more than symbolic, it was a living network of energy. The hieroglyphic script of ancient Egypt is often admired for its beauty and complexity, but what if it carried layers of meaning beyond language? Some researchers suggest that hieroglyphs may have encoded knowledge of energy principles, disguised within symbols of gods, animals, and objects. Take, for instance, the Ankh, the famous cross with a loop at the top. Traditionally interpreted as a symbol of life, it may also represent a device for channeling or storing energy. The loop resembles a resonant coil, while the crossbar could signify balance or polarity. Priests are frequently depicted holding ankhs to the mouths of pharaohs, as if transmitting a force vital for existence. Another symbol, the Djed pillar, represents stability. Yet its segmented structure resembles a stack of insulators or capacitors, leading some to speculate it symbolized, or even functioned as, an energy conductor. In temple reliefs, the Djed is often raised in rituals, possibly reenacting the activation of energetic systems. Even the ubiquitous scarab beetle, rolling its ball of dung, may carry scientific undertones. Its image appears in contexts associated with cycles, rebirth, and solar power. Could it symbolize the perpetual motion of celestial bodies, or even the concept of energy constantly renewing itself? By cloaking science in symbols, the Egyptians ensured that their knowledge survived in a form accessible only to initiates. To the untrained eye, hieroglyphs were art and religion. To the initiated, they may have been blueprints of power, codes preserving the science of energy across millennia. For the Egyptians, health was not just physical, it was vibrational. Illness was seen as an imbalance, a disharmony within the body. To restore balance, priests and healers may have turned to sound, light, and minerals, tools that today we might call forms of energy medicine. Chants and incantations, far from being mere superstition, may have induced resonant frequencies that affected the body at a cellular level. Modern science has shown that sound waves can influence brain states, stimulate healing, and even break apart harmful structures. Could Egyptian healers have intuited these effects thousands of years ago? The use of crystals in amulets strengthens this theory. Quartz, lapis lazuli, and carnelian were not just decorative, they were chosen for their supposed energetic properties. When worn close to the body, they may have interacted with natural fields, amplifying protective or restorative forces. Even gold, often fashioned into jewelry, could have served as a conductor, channeling subtle currents. Temples themselves may have been healing centers. Their resonant chambers, filled with chanting and ritual, could have induced altered states of consciousness. Patients brought into these spaces may have experienced not only psychological relief but physical changes triggered by resonance. In this sense, unlimited energy was not only a societal dream but a personal reality, the power to restore life and health through vibration and alignment. Egyptian monuments were deeply intertwined with the heavens. The rising of Sirius marked the flood of the Nile, Orion's belt mirrored the placement of the pyramids, and solstices were etched into temple alignments. This was not mere devotion, it was precision engineering that tied earthly structures to celestial rhythms. Astronomy, in this sense, may have been the synchronization key for their energy systems. Just as modern power grids must operate in harmony, ancient Egypt's monuments may have relied on cosmic cycles to function. The sun provided not only symbolic light but actual energy, striking electrum-coated pyramid ions and obelisks, charging them with radiant force. Lunar phases, too, were carefully tracked, perhaps influencing the tidal flows of subterranean water systems that powered piezoelectric effects beneath the pyramids. The Egyptians may have also recognized resonance on a planetary scale. The Earth vibrates at natural frequencies, known today as Schumann resonances. These electromagnetic pulses, generated by lightning and atmospheric activity, encircle the globe. Structures aligned with celestial events could have amplified such resonances, creating energy systems that were planetary rather than local. In aligning with the cosmos, Egypt's monuments became more than architecture, they became instruments that harmonized earth and sky. This marriage of astronomy and engineering suggests that unlimited energy was not sought in isolation but as part of a cosmic dance, a system where human ingenuity joined the eternal cycles of the universe. For centuries, rumors have persisted of hidden chambers beneath the Giza Plateau, vaults of knowledge, storage halls of records, or even functioning components of ancient machines. While some dismiss these tales as fantasy, ground-penetrating radar surveys have detected anomalies under the Sphinx and surrounding pyramids, suggesting voids yet unexplored. What might these chambers contain? Some researchers propose they were resonance cavities, designed to interact with vibrations traveling through the bedrock. Filled with water or air, they could have amplified sound waves or pressure changes, feeding energy into the structures above. Others speculate they may have housed machinery or devices now long decayed, components of energy systems erased by time. The secrecy surrounding exploration fuels speculation further. Access to certain areas remains restricted, with official excavations proceeding slowly. To some, this suggests suppression of discoveries that might rewrite history. To others, it is simply caution in preserving fragile heritage. Either way, the hidden voids beneath Giza remain a tantalizing mystery. If these chambers were indeed part of a grand system, they could represent the missing link, the unseen infrastructure that connected the pyramids to the Earth's energies. Just as modern power stations hide their mechanisms underground, Egypt's true energy systems may lie buried beneath sand and stone, awaiting rediscovery. Egypt was not alone in building megalithic monuments aligned with the cosmos. Across the world, structures echo similar themes, suggesting a shared understanding of energy and resonance. The pyramids of Mesoamerica, the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, and even Stonehenge in Britain display alignments with solstices, stars, and natural cycles. Could these civilizations have tapped into similar principles of energy? At Teotihuacan in Mexico, pyramids of the sun and moon are built with materials rich in mica, a mineral used in modern electronics as an insulator. In Peru, the walls of Sacsayhuaman are constructed with massive interlocking stones, their shapes suggestive of seismic resistance and resonance. Across the globe, ancient sites incorporate quartz, granite, and magnetite, minerals with energetic properties. If these similarities are more than coincidence, they hint at a forgotten science shared across cultures. Either knowledge spread through ancient contact, or multiple civilizations independently discovered the same principles by observing nature. In both cases, the conclusion is profound. Ancient peoples may have seen energy not as a commodity to be burned but as a natural force to be harmonized with. Egypt, then, was part of a global experiment, its monuments one voice in a planetary chorus. Unlimited energy was not merely their dream but a universal pursuit, echoing across continents and cultures. In recent years, excavations in Central America revealed chambers filled with liquid mercury beneath pyramids, sparking theories that this strange material was linked to ancient energy systems. Mercury, after all, is highly conductive and interacts strongly with electromagnetic fields. Though no direct discovery of mercury has been made in Egypt, some researchers speculate that it may once have been used there as well. Mercury was known in the ancient world, often associated with alchemy and transformation. Its reflective, fluid nature symbolized both the sun and eternal change. In an energetic context, Mercury could have acted as a conductor or even as part of a primitive capacitor system, storing and releasing energy within chambers. If hidden reservoirs existed beneath Egyptian temples or pyramids, they may have harnessed Mercury's unusual properties to amplify resonance or direct currents. The Egyptians' obsession with eternal cycles mirrors Mercury's ability to shift states between solid, liquid, and vapor. If used in enclosed systems, it could have created pressure changes or interacted with magnetic stones to generate energy. Such ideas remain speculative, yet they highlight the possibility that Egypt's lost science extended into substances now seen as esoteric. If true, the role of Mercury underscores a larger theme, that the Egyptians may have combined materials, geometry, and natural forces into a complex system, a mosaic of technologies now lost, but once capable of approaching the dream of unlimited energy. Why would the Egyptians have pursued energy systems in the first place? One answer may lie in agriculture. The Nile's fertile floodplain supported millions, but managing such abundance required precision. Energy, if harnessed, could have been used to enhance irrigation, power lifting devices, or preserve food supplies. Consider the shaduf and water wheel, devices already used to raise water for crops. If enhanced by energy systems, such tools could have operated continuously, lifting vast amounts of water with minimal human labor. Underground channels, energized by resonance or hydraulic pressure, may have driven early versions of pumps or siphons, sustaining fields even during dry seasons. Preservation of food is another possibility. Energy could have been applied to storage chambers, maintaining constant temperatures or even using vibration to deter pests and bacteria. While speculative, such uses would explain why monumental resources were devoted to energy experimentation. The survival and prosperity of an entire civilization were at stake. Egypt was called the breadbasket of the ancient world, supplying grain far beyond its borders. Unlimited energy, if achieved, would have secured not just survival but dominance, transforming Egypt into a powerhouse whose abundance seemed truly divine. The link between energy and agriculture reinforces the idea that their systems were practical, not merely ceremonial. Pharaohs were not merely kings. They were seen as living gods, intermediaries between the human and the divine. Their role was to maintain the cosmic order. Energy systems, if they existed, may have been part of this divine responsibility. By harnessing natural forces, pharaohs could embody their sacred duty, sustaining life and balance across the land. The construction of pyramids and temples, then, was not only a demonstration of power but also a fulfillment of cosmic obligation. Aligning structures with stars, activating them through ritual, and embedding them with energetic properties would have reinforced the pharaoh's role as the guarantor of abundance. In this sense, energy was political as well as spiritual. Depictions of pharaohs holding scepters or ankhs may symbolize more than authority, they may represent control over energy. Reliefs often show rulers receiving rays of power from the gods, as if absorbing divine energy directly. Such imagery could encode real practices, where the pharaoh, surrounded by priests, stood at the center of energy systems activated within temples or pyramids. To the people, this would appear as divine magic. To the elite, it may have been the controlled use of natural forces. The pharaoh was the embodiment of unlimited energy, both the symbolic sun on earth and the potential master of technologies now forgotten. The temple complex of Karnak, one of the largest religious structures ever built, is often described as a forest of stone. Massive columns rise like trees, their tops blossoming into lotus capitals, creating a space of overwhelming scale. Yet beyond its grandeur, Karnak may conceal a deeper purpose tied to energy and resonance. The hypostyle hall, with its 134 towering columns, produces extraordinary acoustics. Sounds reverberate across the hall in ways that amplify chants and instruments, turning even small gatherings into overwhelming sensory experiences. Such design may not have been accidental. If carefully tuned, the hall could have served as a resonance chamber, amplifying vibrations and channeling them into the granite foundations beneath. Water also played a role. Karnak contained sacred lakes and underground channels, possibly interacting with limestone bedrock to generate subtle electrical charges. Ritual processions, involving chanting, music, and the pouring of water, may have activated these energetic properties, transforming the temple into a living machine of sound and vibration. The priests of Karnak described it as a place where the gods renewed their power. This statement may be more literal than symbolic. By aligning ritual with resonance, the temple may have served as a hub for energy renewal, feeding not just the spiritual life of Egypt but potentially its physical systems as well. Karnak, then, was not merely a temple of stone, but a cathedral of sound and power. Few symbols in Egypt are more enduring than the solar disk, often shown with wings or rays ending in hands. The Aten, as it was called, was not only a representation of the sun but may have symbolized radiant energy itself. In reliefs, rays extend from the disk to touch pharaohs and priests, as though transferring power directly. Could this imagery reflect a real practice of harnessing solar energy? Egypt, with its near-constant sunshine, was an ideal laboratory for solar experimentation. Reflective surfaces, polished metals, and pyramid ion capstones could have captured and concentrated sunlight. The electrum coating atop obelisks may have served as radiant beacons, flashing sunlight across the landscape like massive transmitters. Even the mythology of Ra's solar bark, the vessel that carried the sun across the sky, may encode an understanding of cyclical, renewable energy. The sun was eternal, unfailing, a daily source of power. For the Egyptians, to emulate or capture its force was to align with immortality itself. The winged solar disk, seen carved above temple entrances, could symbolize not only protection but transmission. Wings denote movement, spreading force outward. Rays ending in hands suggest the sun's power being given directly to the people. If these depictions are read as literal energy metaphors, they become early diagrams of solar technology, a system that captured unlimited energy from the heavens long before modern photovoltaics. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and rituals guiding the soul after death, is filled with references to light, power, and transformation. Souls are described as becoming shining ones, radiant beings traveling among the stars. Energy is at the heart of these metaphors, the soul surviving through illumination and vibration. Some texts describe the deceased absorbing the rays of the sun, merging with fields of light, or traveling as beams across the cosmos. These passages, while spiritual on the surface, may reflect a deeper understanding of energy as the essence of existence. To the Egyptians, to master energy in life was to prepare for eternal life beyond death. The use of symbols such as the encoded pillar within funerary texts reinforces this link. These objects are often depicted as granting power to the soul, stabilizing and energizing it for its journey. The rituals performed at burials, chants, incense, light, and sound, mirror the activation of energy systems in temples, suggesting continuity between life, death, and the cosmos. If energy was truly the bridge between the physical and the eternal, then the pursuit of unlimited energy was not merely technological. It was spiritual, existential, and cosmic. By embedding energy into their afterlife beliefs, the Egyptians ensured that their experiments were not forgotten, but immortalized in texts that, even today, speak of light, resonance, and transformation as the pathways to eternity. Among the countless painted walls of Egyptian tombs, scenes emerge that some interpret as depictions of electrical devices. Figures hold rods, staffs, or strangely shaped objects connected to boxes or coils. While mainstream archaeology sees these as purely symbolic, their resemblance to conductors and insulators invites deeper scrutiny. One particularly debated image shows a figure holding two rods joined by a curved arc. To orthodox scholars, it is a ritual emblem. Yet to speculative researchers, it resembles a simple electrical arc device, a primitive demonstration of stored energy being released as light. Other scenes depict boats with what look like coils or cables, suggesting that the Egyptians may have experimented with transmitting currents. If these interpretations are valid, then the Egyptians were not only capable of generating energy but also of representing it visually. Their reluctance to describe such systems directly in texts may have been intentional, reserving sacred science for initiates, yet art offered a way to preserve knowledge through imagery. The Egyptians believed that what was drawn or spoken came alive. If they depicted energy in their art, it may not have been symbolic at all, but a record of devices and systems that were real, functional, and deeply integrated into their worldview. These murals may be snapshots of a lost science, frozen in pigment on stone walls. At Abydos lies one of Egypt's most enigmatic monuments, the Osirian. Unlike other temples, it is built deep underground, with cyclopean granite blocks weighing hundreds of tons. Its architectural style is so different from surrounding structures that some scholars argue it predates dynastic Egypt itself. What purpose did this mysterious structure serve? Its subterranean design, massive stone blocks, and central water channel suggest more than ritual. Some researchers believe the Osirian may have functioned as an underground resonance chamber. The water flowing through its channels could have created pressure and vibration, energizing the quartz-rich granite blocks. The resulting piezoelectric effect may have generated subtle currents that interacted with the structure above. The Osirian is often associated with Osiris, the god of rebirth and the afterlife. In symbolic terms, this makes sense. Osiris represented the eternal cycle of death and renewal. Yet if we view the Osirian as an energy device, the symbolism aligns perfectly: a machine of rebirth, endlessly generating and recycling power from the earth itself. Its isolation and unique style hint that it may be a relic of a forgotten era, a surviving fragment of technology far older than Egypt's dynasties. If true, the Osirian stands as silent testimony to a lost chapter in human history, one where energy, architecture, and myth merged into a single, unified science. Though most famously associated with the Israelites, the Ark of the Covenant has deep echoes of Egyptian design. Described as a gilded wooden chest, carried with poles, it radiated immense power, capable of striking down those who touched it unworthily. Some scholars believe its design was influenced by Egyptian religious objects, particularly the sacred barks and shrines used to carry divine statues. If the ark was more than symbolic, if it was a real energy device, it may represent knowledge inherited from Egypt. Its gold plating inside and out suggests a capacitor-like construction. Gold is an excellent conductor, and when paired with insulating wood, the ark may have been capable of storing and releasing electrical charges. Descriptions of the ark producing light, sound, and even deadly force parallel the effects of stored electrical energy. If Egyptian priests experimented with such devices, it is possible that this knowledge was passed on, adapted, and transformed into what became the ark. This connection implies that Egypt's pursuit of energy was not confined to its borders. Fragments of its science may have spread into neighboring cultures, disguised as sacred relics. The Ark of the Covenant, then, could be viewed as a portable remnant of Egyptian energy technology, a traveling generator of divine power. The idea that the earth itself produces lines of force, what modern researchers sometimes call ley lines, resonates with how the Egyptians may have chosen sites for their monuments. These lines, whether electromagnetic anomalies or gravitational harmonics, are thought to form an invisible grid across the planet. Intriguingly, many of Egypt's greatest monuments are located on intersections that correspond with these proposed lines. If true, this would suggest that the Egyptians understood Earth's energetic veins and deliberately built upon them. Pyramids and temples, placed at these nodal points, could have tapped into natural flows of energy. Much like acupuncture channels life force in the human body, Egypt's monuments may have stimulated or redirected planetary energy, turning the landscape into a vast living circuit. Modern science acknowledges that tectonic stresses, underground water flows, and variations in geology can create localized electromagnetic anomalies. Sensitive instruments detect these fluctuations even today. Ancient peoples may not have had electronics, but they did have keen observation and intuition. Over centuries, they may have mapped Earth's energy lines simply by watching how plants grew, how animals behaved, and how water flowed. If ley lines played a role in Egypt's design, then the civilization was not isolated in its energy experiments. Instead, it was tapping into the same planetary system that megalithic builders across the globe may have recognized. Unlimited energy, in this vision, was not generated but accessed, drawn directly from the living Earth itself. At Saqqara, near the step pyramid of Djoser, archaeologists have discovered subterranean galleries and chambers unlike any others. Some are vast corridors lined with niches, others deep shafts dropping straight into bedrock. Their purpose has long been debated: storage, burial, ritual, but their acoustic properties are striking. When tones are produced inside these chambers, the sound resonates powerfully, reverberating through the stone. Visitors describe feeling vibrations in their bodies, as though the walls themselves are alive. This has led some researchers to suggest that the chambers were designed as sound devices, amplifying frequencies to create powerful energetic effects. Could these chambers have been used to generate or direct energy? If chants or instruments were performed within them, the vibrations could have activated piezoelectric currents in surrounding stone. Underground water channels may have enhanced the effect, transforming the entire complex into a resonance-powered system. Even the step pyramid above may have been part of this design, acting as a resonant amplifier connected to the subterranean network. The fusion of surface architecture and underground acoustics suggests a complex system, one where sound, stone, and water interacted to produce energy effects invisible to the naked eye. Saqqara, then, may represent one of Egypt's earliest experiments in energy resonance. An architectural laboratory where vibration itself was both the tool and the outcome. The Temple of Hathor at Dendera is most famous for its controversial light bulb relief, but its entire design hints at energy use beyond illumination. Hathor was the goddess of music, dance, and joy, domains linked closely to vibration. Her temple, filled with columns decorated with musical motifs, may have doubled as a center for vibrational healing. Ancient texts describe music as a force capable of restoring balance to the soul. Priests and priestesses of Hathor were skilled musicians, using harps, sistra, and drums in their rituals. Inside the temple's resonant chambers, these sounds would not simply entertain, they would transform the body and mind. Modern science has confirmed that sound therapy can alter brainwaves, reduce stress, and even promote physical healing. If Dendera's reliefs depict energy devices, they may have complemented these practices, providing light while music resonated through the halls. Together, sound and light could create a full-spectrum form of therapy, aligning body, mind, and spirit. Patients entering the temple may have experienced not only spiritual renewal but measurable physical improvement. Thus, the Temple of Atha may stand as one of the earliest healing centers in history, its architecture, art, and rituals blending to harness unlimited energy not only for power but for wellness. In this interpretation, the Egyptians did not separate science from spirituality. They saw them as one, energy as life, vibration as medicine, and light as the bridge between the human and the divine. Among the most overlooked aspects of Egypt's potential energy systems is the human voice itself. Priests, singers, and chanters played a central role in rituals, and their voices may have been carefully trained to interact with the architecture around them. Ancient depictions show groups chanting in unison, their sound waves blending to create powerful resonance effects. Modern experiments in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid reveal that chanting at specific pitches causes the entire granite chamber to vibrate audibly. The harmonics produced create a palpable energy that resonates through the body. If groups of priests performed such chants regularly, they may have triggered energetic phenomena within the stone itself, charging the quartz-rich walls and generating subtle electrical currents. The Egyptians believed that words carried power, a concept known as hika. To speak was to create. If their chants activated resonance in temples and pyramids, then speech itself may have been an energy tool. Spells and hymns, encoded with repetition and rhythm, could have functioned like vibrational codes, activating specific effects when spoken within resonant chambers. This convergence of sound and architecture suggests a form of bioenergetics, where the human body was part of the machine. Energy was not only external but internal, flowing through voice, vibration, and ritual. In this way, the Egyptians themselves became the catalysts of unlimited energy, living instruments in a symphony of stone, water, and sky. Deep beneath Saqqara lies the Serapeum, a labyrinth of tunnels housing massive granite boxes, each weighing up to 70 tons. Officially, these sarcophagi held sacred bulls, but the sheer scale and precision of the boxes raises questions. Carved with laser-like accuracy, their interiors are perfectly smooth, their corners flawless. Why would such effort be expended for mere burials? Some researchers propose an alternative, that these boxes were not coffins, but energy devices. The granite, rich in quartz, could resonate when exposed to sound or pressure. Enclosed within such massive chambers, vibrations could be amplified to extraordinary levels. The boxes may have functioned as capacitors or resonance amplifiers, storing and directing energy flows within the underground complex. Visitors often report strange acoustics inside the Serapeum, with voices echoing unnaturally and vibrations felt throughout the body. Could these sensations be remnants of the box's original function? If water once flowed through nearby channels, the piezoelectric effect could have energized the granite, turning the entire network into a subterranean power station. Whether tombs or machines, the Serapeum's granite boxes remain among the most enigmatic artifacts of ancient Egypt. Their scale and perfection suggest a purpose far greater than conventional explanations allow, perhaps a forgotten link in Egypt's pursuit of unlimited energy. At the heart of Egypt's monuments lies a language of numbers and shapes, sacred geometry. Ratios such as the golden mean and pi appear repeatedly in their architecture. The Great Pyramid's proportions encode planetary measurements, astronomical cycles, and mathematical constants. This precision was not accidental. It was a deliberate attempt to embed universal laws into stone. Geometry, in energetic terms, is more than mathematics, it is resonance made visible. Shapes can focus, amplify, or diffuse energy. The pyramid, with its four sloping sides converging to a point, is one of the most efficient geometries for concentrating energy. Domes, arches, and columns, all present in Egyptian temples, serve similar purposes, guiding vibrations and currents in specific ways. Hieroglyphs themselves are geometric forms, each crafted with symmetry and balance. They may not only have conveyed meaning but also emitted subtle energetic effects when carved in stone or spoken aloud. Symbols like the spiral, the circle, and the triangle appear repeatedly, each resonating with universal harmonics. If geometry was their code, then every temple and pyramid was a message as well as a machine, a diagram of the cosmos encoded into architecture. By aligning with these shapes, the Egyptians may have tapped into the natural laws of energy, creating systems that were eternal, self-sustaining, and inexhaustible. Sacred geometry, then, was not only art, it was the blueprint of unlimited energy. Crystals occupy a unique place in Egyptian symbolism and artifacts. Lapis lazuli, carnelian, and quartz were not just decorative stones but sacred materials, chosen for their vibrational and energetic qualities. Quartz, especially, was abundant in the granite used for sarcophagi, temples, and the Great Pyramid itself. Modern science confirms that quartz can generate electricity when compressed, a principle known as the piezoelectric effect. Watches, radios, and countless devices rely on this property today. The Egyptians may have understood it intuitively, embedding quartz into their architecture to harness energy from sound, pressure, and vibration. Amulets and jewelry often featured crystals placed near the heart or brow, locations associated with life force and perception. If crystals were believed to channel energy, wearing them could have been a form of personal power technology. Beyond symbolism, they may have functioned as amplifiers of the body's natural electromagnetic field. Large crystal deposits may also have been used architecturally. Some speculate that the Egyptians mined and installed crystalline materials in hidden chambers to enhance resonance. If combined with water and sound, these crystals could have acted like amplifiers or capacitors, storing and releasing energy within temples. Thus, crystals were not mere ornaments but key components in Egypt's energetic worldview. They bridged matter and spirit, functioning both as sacred objects and as potential tools in the quest for unlimited energy. If the Egyptians truly mastered energy, why did this knowledge fade? Why did later dynasties, and even neighboring civilizations, fail to replicate such achievements? The answer may lie in secrecy and loss. Priestly knowledge was passed down orally, guarded within temple schools. As dynasties weakened and foreign invaders swept through, much of this wisdom may have been deliberately hidden or destroyed. The conquest of Egypt by Assyrians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans fragmented its culture, turning sacred science into mythology stripped of practical application. The rise of new religions further obscured ancient practices. Energy systems once interpreted as divine harmonies were recast as superstition or heresy. Over centuries, the technical aspects were forgotten, leaving only symbolic remnants, hieroglyphs, myths, and half-understood rituals. Another possibility is that the systems themselves required a level of environmental stability no longer present. Water tables shifted, earthquakes altered the landscape, and key materials may have been exhausted. Without the perfect interplay of geology, astronomy, and ritual, the energy networks may have simply ceased to function. The silence of the gods, then, may not mean the knowledge never existed. It may mean it was buried by time, conquest, and neglect. The monuments remain, but their song has faded, awaiting rediscovery in an age ready to hear it once more. Today, researchers, engineers, and visionaries are revisiting Egypt's mysteries with fresh eyes. Acoustic experiments in the pyramids confirm unusual resonances. Electromagnetic measurements reveal anomalies inside chambers. Ground-penetrating radar hints at hidden voids beneath monuments. Piece by piece, the possibility of an ancient energy system is being reconsidered. Some scientists experiment with pyramid-shaped structures on a smaller scale, observing their effects on water, plants, and electromagnetic fields. Reports suggest improved seed germination, preservation of organic material, and unusual electrical activity. While controversial, these experiments echo the functions attributed to Egypt's monuments: preservation, abundance, and resonance. Even in medicine, parallels emerge. Sound therapy, crystal healing, and electromagnetic treatments, all popular today, mirror practices that may have roots in ancient Egypt. What we call alternative science may in fact be a rediscovery of principles the ancients once mastered. If Egypt's monuments were energy machines, they may not have been primitive attempts but fully functional systems, designed to harmonize with the earth itself. Modern rediscovery could mean not only solving an archaeological mystery but reclaiming a sustainable, renewable source of power. Unlimited energy, once the dream of the pharaohs, may yet become the legacy of their stones. Among the most polarizing theories is that Egypt's mastery of energy was not solely their own discovery, but inherited from contact with an advanced, possibly extraterrestrial intelligence. Mainstream scholars dismiss this idea, yet the sheer precision of Egypt's monuments continues to fuel speculation. The Great Pyramid's alignment to true north, accurate within fractions of a degree, is difficult to explain with simple tools. The cutting of massive granite blocks with smooth, machine-like precision suggests technologies beyond copper chisels and stone hammers. If such knowledge came from outside Earth, the Egyptians would have embedded it in myth. Gods descending from the sky, stars identified as places of origin, and the constant theme of divine beings teaching humanity, these may encode encounters with advanced visitors. The figure of Thoth, the god of wisdom, is often described as a bringer of knowledge from beyond. Could he represent not only a deity but a memory of contact? Even the pyramids themselves, with their planetary and cosmic alignments, appear designed to signal or connect with something beyond Earth. If their structures functioned as energy machines, they might also have served as beacons, broadcasting resonance into space. Unlimited energy, in this scenario, was not only for earthly abundance but for communication with the stars. Such theories remain speculative, yet they persist because Egypt's monuments stand as enigmas that challenge simple explanations. Whether through genius alone or with guidance from beyond, the Egyptians tapped into forces that remain elusive even to modern science. Throughout the history of Egyptology, rumors persist of discoveries withheld from the public. From hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx to strange electromagnetic readings inside the pyramids, not all findings reach mainstream headlines. Some researchers suggest that institutions fear the implications, knowledge that could destabilize established history or reveal technologies still beyond our grasp. Whispers of artifacts removed from excavations, of sealed passages never opened, of anomalies dismissed as unimportant, all fuel the idea that something is being concealed. In the 20th century, explorers reported unusual magnetic readings inside the Great Pyramid, yet their work was abruptly halted. Recent scans of the monument revealed hidden voids, but explanations remain vague. What lies inside those spaces? Are they storage chambers, resonance cavities, or something far more significant? If evidence exists that the Egyptians mastered energy, its suppression may reflect the same forces that resist alternative energy discoveries today. Unlimited energy threatens established systems, economic, political, and industrial. The same may have been true in antiquity, where priestly elites guarded knowledge from the masses. Today, the guardians may be different, but the motive is the same: control. The possibility of suppressed discoveries adds another layer of mystery. Perhaps the truth of Egypt's energy systems is already known, but hidden, waiting for a time when the world is ready, or forced, to acknowledge it. Whether Egypt truly discovered unlimited energy remains uncertain. Yet the legacy of their monuments continues to inspire. Their mastery of stone, geometry, and celestial alignment suggests an understanding of natural forces that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. If they harnessed energy, they did so sustainably. Their systems relied on water, sound, light, and the Earth's own resonance, renewable, clean, and eternal. No smoke, no fuel, no pollution. In a time when modern civilization grapples with energy crises and environmental destruction, Egypt's example, real or imagined, offers a powerful lesson. Even if the pyramids and temples were symbolic, the symbolism itself carries weight. Energy was seen as divine, infinite, and intertwined with life. To align with it was to align with the cosmos. This worldview contrasts with modern approaches that treat energy as a resource to be consumed rather than a harmony to be joined. The pursuit of unlimited energy continues today, from quantum research to renewable technologies. Perhaps, in seeking new solutions, we are unknowingly walking paths first laid by Egypt's ancient builders. Their monuments may not only remind us of the past but point toward a possible future, one where energy is infinite, clean, and aligned with the eternal rhythms of the universe. When viewed from above, the pyramids of Giza form a precise alignment with Orion's belt, one of the most recognizable constellations in the night sky. This celestial mirroring is more than symbolic, it suggests that the Egyptians saw their monuments as part of a cosmic blueprint, a reflection of heaven on earth. If their structures were energy devices, this alignment may have been integral to their function. The stars emit radiation and gravitational influence, bathing Earth in subtle but constant forces. By aligning their pyramids with Orion, Sirius, and other key stars, the Egyptians may have tapped into these cosmic streams, using their monuments as receivers or amplifiers of celestial energy. The idea of as above, so below, central to Hermetic philosophy, may have had literal meaning in Egypt. By building in harmony with the heavens, they ensured that their energy systems resonated not just with Earth but with the entire universe. The Great Pyramid, then, becomes more than a generator, it is a cosmic instrument, attuned to both terrestrial and stellar frequencies. This perspective reframes Egypt's monuments as nodes in a universal network. The energy they sought was not isolated, but part of a grand, cosmic flow. Unlimited energy, in this sense, was not simply about power, it was about alignment with the eternal, the stars themselves guiding and sustaining life on Earth. The Egyptians did not view the human body as separate from their monuments. To them, the body itself was a temple, a vessel designed to channel and harmonize with energy. Practices such as meditation, chanting, and ritual movement may have been intended not only for spiritual devotion but for energetic activation. Hieroglyphs often depict streams of energy, rays, waves, or symbols, flowing into or out of the body. The ankh, held to the lips, suggests a transference of life force. The jed pillar, placed against the spine in ritual, may represent the stabilizing of energy channels within the human body. These practices resemble modern concepts of chakras or meridians, suggesting the Egyptians possessed their own system of bioenergetics. If their monuments amplified Earth's energy, the body may have been the receiver. Priests and pharaohs, trained in ritual, could have stood within resonant chambers and become infused with vibrational power. The experience would have felt divine, as though touched by the gods themselves. For the Egyptians, this was not metaphor. It was reality. Unlimited energy, then, was not only external but internal. The human body was both conduit and conductor, capable of aligning with cosmic forces. By merging architecture with biology, Egypt created a holistic system where people themselves became living instruments of energy. After centuries of speculation, the question remains, did ancient Egypt truly unlock the secret of infinite power? The evidence is tantalizing but incomplete. Their monuments resonate with geometry, sound, and cosmic alignment. Their art hints at devices that resemble modern technology. Their myths speak of light, vibration, and eternal renewal. Yet the physical proof remains elusive, buried beneath sands, lost to time, or perhaps deliberately concealed. What is clear is that the Egyptians possessed a worldview where energy was sacred, eternal, and inseparable from life. Whether through water, sound, crystals, or celestial alignment, they sought harmony with the forces of the universe. Their monuments may have been machines, or they may have been metaphors, but in either case, they embody the dream of unlimited energy. For modern civilization, the question is not merely historical. It is a challenge. If the ancients, with stone tools and intuition, glimpsed the eternal power of the cosmos, then what prevents us, with modern science, from doing the same? Perhaps the answer lies not in discovering new forces, but in remembering old ones, forces written in stone, sung in chants, and aligned with the stars. The legacy of Egypt is not just mystery, it is inspiration. a reminder that energy is all around us, infinite and eternal, waiting to be understood. Whether Egypt truly mastered it may never be proven. But their monuments whisper across time, urging us to listen, to question, and to seek. The sands of Egypt conceal more than monuments. They conceal questions that continue to ignite curiosity across centuries. Why were such immense resources devoted to constructing structures whose true purpose remains unclear? Why do their dimensions encode cosmic constants? Why do their walls resonate with harmonics that modern science can measure but not fully explain? The search for answers is itself a form of energy, a force driving explorers, scientists, and dreamers to return again and again to the Nile's edge. Perhaps this is Egypt's greatest legacy, not only what it built, but what it compels us to imagine. The possibility that within these stones lies a wisdom not yet rediscovered keeps alive the eternal flame of inquiry. Whether or not Egypt truly harnessed unlimited energy, the very pursuit challenges us. It reminds us that human potential reaches beyond survival into the realm of wonder, where architecture becomes science, and science becomes spirituality. In this merging, we glimpse not only Egypt's mysteries but the larger mystery of existence itself. Every civilization leaves a message. For Egypt, the message was not inscribed in fragile parchment but in granite blocks that defy the ages. Their monuments are letters written to eternity, intended not only for their own people but for those who would come millennia later. Perhaps they knew their science would be forgotten, their rituals misunderstood, their power obscured. Yet by encoding their wisdom in geometry, alignment, and myth, they ensured that fragments would survive. Each generation rediscovers pieces of the puzzle, mathematical precision, acoustic properties, electromagnetic anomalies, clues pointing to a vision larger than our textbooks allow. In this way, Egypt continues to speak. Its voice is not one of certainty but of invitation, to look closer, to question deeper, to imagine boldly. The monuments are not final answers, but eternal questions, carved into stone. Through them, Egypt whispers across time, reminding us that knowledge is never truly lost, only waiting to be remembered. And so we return to the question, did ancient Egypt discover unlimited energy? The evidence is suggestive but inconclusive. Their pyramids may have been machines, their temples resonant laboratories, their symbols coded blueprints of power. Or perhaps their achievements were purely symbolic, expressions of a worldview that saw energy as divine rather than technological. What matters is not only whether they succeeded, but that they tried. They sought harmony with the cosmos, alignment with earth, resonance with sound and light. They dreamed of energy not as something to be consumed, but as something to be joined, a force eternal, abundant, and inseparable from life itself. Today, in our search for sustainable power, Egypt's legacy takes on new meaning. Their monuments urge us to remember that energy is not only in machines, but in water, sound, sunlight, stone, and even within ourselves. If unlimited energy is possible, it may be found not in conquest of nature but in harmony with it. Just as Egypt once envisioned. The pyramids stand, silent yet speaking, guardians of a mystery that continues to inspire. Whether machines, tombs, or symbols, they embody a dream as old as civilization, that energy is infinite, life eternal, and the cosmos forever waiting to be understood.